My great-aunt Velma was a serial killer who poisoned multiple people, including her mother, two husbands, and several elderly clients, before being caught and executed in 1984. Velma Barfield, born Margie Velma Bullard, had a tough start. She was born in 1932 in South Carolina, one of 9 kids. During the Great Depression, her family barely scraped by, and her dad was an abusive alcoholic. School wasn't much better for her. She was bullied for wearing secondhand clothes and bringing weird food for lunch. When Velma was 16, she met Thomas Burke, her first husband. They got married when she was 17. Honestly, I think it was her way of escaping her home life. They settled in North Carolina, had 2 kids, and seemed to be doing okay for a while. Velma loved being a mom and even became known as the fun mom at school events. Things started to spiral in the mid-60s. Velma had a hysterectomy that left her with chronic pain, depression, and mood swings. Around the same time, Thomas's drinking got out of control. Their fights escalated, and their home life turned toxic. In 1969, tragedy struck. Their house burned down while Thomas was inside. Velma claimed he'd passed out drunk with a cigarette, and that was the cause. At the time, no one questioned her. After Thomas's death, Velma quickly moved on and married a widower named Jennings Barfield. But their marriage was rocky from the start. Velma's dependence on prescription drugs worsened, leading to multiple overdoses. They separated briefly, but got back together. Then, in 1971, Jennings died of a supposed heart attack. Velma played the grieving widow, but looking back, it's chilling to think about what really happened. Over the next few years, Velma's life became a pattern of working as a caretaker for elderly or sick people, forging checks, and more mysterious deaths. Her mother, Lily, died in 1974 after sudden and unexplained illness. Velma was around when it happened, but again, no one suspected anything. The most suspicious was Dolly Edwards, one of Velma's elderly clients. Dolly complained about Velma's laziness, which led to a lot of tension. In January 1977, Dolly's husband, Montgomery, died suddenly. Then Dolly fell ill with violent vomiting and diarrhea. Doctors treated her, but she got worse and passed away soon after. Velma moved on to another elderly couple, John Henry and his wife, Record Lee. When John Henry started showing the same symptoms, severe stomach pain, diarrhea, and vomiting, it should have raised red flags. He died in June 1977, but Velma managed to avoid suspicion. Things unraveled with her last victim, Stuart Taylor. Stuart was a kind man who Velma had started dating, but Velma, still addicted to drugs, began forging checks in his name. When he confronted her, she didn't stop. Then in February 1978, Stuart became violently ill during church. Hours later, he died in the hospital. This time, the doctors ordered an autopsy, which revealed arsenic poisoning. When Velma was questioned, everything fell apart. Her sister called the police, suspecting Velma had poisoned their mother and others. Investigators exhumed several bodies, including her second husband, Jennings. All tested positive for arsenic. Velma confessed to 4 murders, but claimed she didn't mean to kill anyone. She said she only wanted to make them sick so they wouldn't notice her stealing money. In court, the jury didn't buy it. She was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to death in 1978, the first woman in 40 years to receive the death penalty in the U.S. She spent 6 years on death row before being executed by lethal injection in 1984. She reportedly found religion while in prison and claims she was at peace with her fate. Looking back, it's hard to reconcile the woman my family knew with the crimes she committed. My relatives remember her as kind and warm, but the truth is so much darker. Even decades later, her story still feels surreal.